Listen up! I know that I've beat on most of you in the past.
I forgive you, Brockhampton. I was asking for it. I love you, Brockhampton. Me too.
We have to put all that aside and focus on getting Dr. Girlfriend back. Now, God knows a child could take you guys one-on-one.
You know, we do the best we can. We try.
But as a swarm, even you guys can be dangerous. Welcome to Big Boy Town. As of this moment, you are no longer butterflies. Today, you are murderflies!
Hi. Welcome to Venture Bros, Venture Brother Podcast. I'm your host, always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, Graham Mason.
Yeah, hello.
And Nick Friedemann.
I am here, yes.
So we did it. We made it through another season of Venture Brothers.
Woohoo!
Yeah, who knew that was possible? Get through 2 of these things?
I mean,
Oh my word. Showdown at Cremation Creek, Part 2. The dramatic conclusion, if you will.
dramatic indeed.
Yeah, it is full-blown Matrix Revolutions up in here.
Don't say that.
Come on.
God.
It's better than that.
What, would you rather...
Oh my God. Where are the twins, Brian?
They were in Revolutions. They were in Reloaded.
Oh God, it's so disappointing that you know that.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece of cinema right there. No, it's not. It's obviously not as bad as the end of The Matrix, but I'm not a huge fan of the end of season 2, and I didn't realize it until we watched the end of season 2.
Oh, interesting.
I like the end of season 2. I think it's a very fun episode, but when it comes to just the general storytelling of it all, I think it's not their best effort. But we can get into that a little bit more after we do a quick summary of the episode. I can do it really quick if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
Okay, so Cremation Creek Part 2, Phantom Limb captures Dr. Girlfriend, reveals that his true goal is to eliminate David Bowie, the sovereign of the Guild of Calamitous Intent, and take his place. Brok leads the Monarch's henchmen into a battle against Phantom Limb's forces, while Dean is super frickin' high on engine fumes and beating the shit out of the Cocoon's poor engines. The battle ends when the Monarch escaped Cocoons, crashes into the Phantom Limb ship, and Phantom Limb is maimed, but he escapes, and Bowie blesses the marriage between Monarch and the Dr. Girlfriend. And I think that's pretty much it. Rusty doesn't really have a lot to do in the end of this episode. He kind of just disappears.
No, he's eating food that was meant for the reception, and that's pretty much his whole thing in the episode.
He just kind of hangs out and eats a little bit of cake.
Pretty nonchalantly, yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Brok, for writing most of what I just read, because I was having trouble figuring out how to do that. But yeah, that's about...
That's about it.
That's about it, right?
I mean, yeah. Mostly a huge fight sequence, which is pretty entertaining to watch. A lot of, good Hank, Brok, 21-24 interactions. So,
Yeah. But I think that's kind of why, when we talked last week, again, apologies last week for my microphone fucking up. And again, as I said in my little non-disclaimer, I'm not annoyed by that at all. But with last week's episode, we talked a lot about how, this was all story set up for the payoff in the back half. And since I was determined not to watch them together, it just kind of... Because all the stories in one episode and this one's all just kind of payoff, it makes this episode not great, in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Am I just out of my mind?
No. I think that what it is the Venture Brothers usually has some pretty dense like detail in a lot of their episodes. I think that there's also a lot of dense storytelling in most. If it's not dense storytelling, it can be something simpler, but usually it's funnier or just interesting. And I think with this, with an action sequence sort of episode, it doesn't quite feel like it fits in with most of it. Like, it's kind of like Kill Bill. Kill Bill 1 is all action at the front and Kill Bill 2 is mostly like exposition and story. This is like the other way around.
Yeah.
Part 1 is all story. Part 2 is all action.
But I think my biggest problem with it, and I wasn't able to put my finger on it last episode, is I don't feel the story in part 1 was strong enough to carry this entire sequence.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think that his Phantom Limb's plan is kind of interesting, I guess, but it's one of those things that I'm not sure how he planned on succeeding.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a big part of it, because you do kind of have this, like, so he was just going to kill the Sovereign and take over, and why is the rest of the guild okay with that?
Right.
Like, there's been no foreshadowing that everyone in the guild is fucking tired of the Sovereign. Like, if there'd been something like that, I think this would have made a little bit more sense. But since there wasn't, it's just kind of like, wait, why are they all just so rank and file? Like, he says he's in charge. I guess that's what we're doing now.
Exactly. And usually with a show that has so much foreshadowing, this doesn't have anything. And they do try to explain it away a little bit with Iggy Pop saying kind of like, I'm tired of... basically saying he's tired of the Sovereign as a whole. That's about all we get. Why are the Wasps aligned with Phantom Limb? Who are supposed to be like these elites, that kind of stuff. It doesn't quite match. If they had set up Phantom Limb to kind of have these like bits and pieces throughout the season of like interference or whatever, then I think that I would buy this turn. And I don't deny the fact that he probably would go for this. It just doesn't feel as organic as a lot of the other stuff in the show.
Yeah. And if you pick up the book, even, I don't remember if it was Hammer or Public who was talking about it, but neither one of them are a big fan of this finale either, and I think it's partially because of this. They also aren't a big fan of how the action was animated. Like, they really had some grandiose ideas, and they just weren't able to fully get them there, which I think is kind of weird, because I think the fight scene is very epic.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, like, if this isn't good enough for them, what were they hoping it was going to be?
I mean, HD.
Yeah.
More of what season 3 looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense there. But I mean, just but it doesn't have to look great for it to still be engaging. Like, I don't care if it's SD, but it's...
I think I can answer your question.
Okay.
The end of season 1. Remember how, like, we were all kind of, like, blown away by the end of season 1 as far as that, like, opening fantasy sort of telling of what happened?
Yeah.
Where it was like, holy shit. Like, I think, honestly, they were probably going for stuff like that, and whether they didn't have the budget or whether the animation studios kind of, like, screwed stuff up, which was kind of a running theme if you listen to the...
commentary.
What is it called? The commentary, yeah. Is that, like, for the first 3 seasons, they would get stuff back from the studios and would kind of have to touch it up afterwards. Right. So it could be stuff like that they're just getting back stuff that's not quite what they were hoping for. I do agree with you that it felt epic. The one thing I'll say is that J.G. Thrilwell did an amazing job with the music. I think that helps a lot.
Music is great in this.
Yeah.
But I also think it's just kind of a fun action sequence. Like, I might not enjoy like the story of the episode, but I mean, just the whole, like, everything is from when Brok takes over the Monarch's henchmen. Like, everything from there on out, it's very fun to watch. Like, all the henchmen figuring out their wings actually work for flight, and them immediately just falling in line behind Brok. Like, I know I've beat on you most of the time. I forgive you, Brock Sampson. I love you. like all that's great. It's
how that one guy still has the tattoo on his face.
Oh,
yes. He's missing an eye, too. It's like...
And I love how casual Brok is about it. I beat on you from time to time. Like, he's missing
how many
an
of you
eye.
are suicidal?
Oh, wow, a lot.
Oh, well, that's a lot of people.
Also, this is one of my favorite bits of rewatching this. That's his small talk to Stahl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like when they come back with Brok, he's like, "Oh, thank God!" Like as if like he was just trying to like stall for time, and that was his strategy. It's so bad.
I mean, it works, and with the Monarch,
True.
all of them.
I mean, I don't imagine a lot of people are signing up to be a henchman if they're not a little suicidal.
It's true.
Henchmen aren't known for their life longevity.
Excuse me, Brian. Minions?
Sorry, I know they
Don't
prefer
like
that.
that word.
They prefer to be called that. Oh God.
Oh boy. I think my favorite thing in this episode, beyond just the constant David Bowie love, which is always great. I love Stone Dean off in his fucking never-ending story adventure dream.
Oh my god.
Adventure fever dream, I should call it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say I didn't quite. It makes a lot more sense that he's high on fumes. I just kind of assumed that he was just breaking down, but I like that he's really just high as a kite. I think that's much funnier.
That's what I always assumed it was. I mean, I guess I could be wrong, but I thought there was a line about like it's way spooky down there, like because of this.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought it was like the engine leaking some crazy, super scientist goo around, and he just got in contact with it.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, he's just stoned out of his gourd and just.
Oh God.
I love his world. It's incredible, and I love how he's incorporating all of his dad and the Monarch as the evil villain.
Oh yeah.
It's just I hope you don't hurt my black heart.
Oh my
Don't
God.
stab me in the black. Oh, come on!
He just starts cutting off his arms. Oh my God!
Those are reproductive organs. Just
After after working in video games, I feel like that hits way too close to home. It's like so much of it is just trying to be like, please just go here, like please, and it's just like they just run in the opposite direction. You're just like, oh God.
You're the worst. You're literally the worst.
My favorite thing about that dream sequence, though, is that Dean is as much of a loon and total dork that Dean is. The dream kind of shows how self-aware he is of how everyone else sees him.
Yeah.
Like, because this is all just his own fever dream. Like, no one is inflecting any of this, and yet White talks to him like he's a complete dickbag. Billy barely wants to be around him. His dad, the rat, is still just like, what, that dweeby little child? He's just gonna die. You have the Monarch, who again is like, this kid is a fucking moron. Like, even in his fantasy where he's the hero, everyone still thinks he's an idiot. And that just speaks volumes to Dean of like, he just thinks that's the norm.
Yeah. Everybody except for Triana.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Because at the end, you're like, and incredibly approachable princess.
Let's make out.
Oh, that is my favorite thing. Is like his stutter in his fantasy is incredible.
But that's what I mean.
That's
Like,
all swell.
you can just you can do a deep dive into Dean's psyche on that one fever dream, just because it's like, oh wow, you do not think much of yourself.
Nope. Not at all. Especially at this point in time, like, because you're all right. Like, everyone does kind of treat Dean like the dumber of the two, which is saying a lot because Hank's pretty dense. So it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's just the norm. Like, he is kind of the super optimistic, really kind of like too sheltered of the two. All falls in line there.
Yeah, and it's interesting because while Hank is definitely the dumber of the two of them, his confidence is through the goddamn roof. So he gets by on just sheer bullshit and confidence, while Dean just second guesses everything while being way more intelligent. You don't trust him. Like, he's not the guy you'd go to because he doesn't have the balls to do anything, really.
I think all those qualities also help Hank as a great businessman.
Definitely. Yeah. Hank Co. would not work if he wasn't able just to go like, nah, fuck it, I'm right.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone comes to Hanks.
Oh boy. But I also love that even in the dream and whatnot, fucking White is still the worst person.
Ugh.
Like, we're clearly not big fans of White.
Just don't be judgmental. Judgmental? I'm not being judgmental.
I made a judgment. I'm not being judgmental.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I actually think that we are all fans of White. I just think that White's one of those people that, like, I don't think I would ever let him out of my sight in my apartment.
I don't think I'd let him into my apartment. I'd hang out with him at a bar.
I think that's fair.
Like,
with my wallet at home, I brought enough cash for me to buy drinks, and that's it.
You bought enough cash for me to buy drinks, none for you. And I feel like you need to tell him that the second you walk in. Hey, White, good to see you. I'm not buying you shit.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a good time.
Oh, White.
Fucking White. Although I do like his god look. I think it's kind of funny. Like the super big hair and like the redded out eyes.
I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it works.
No, I like the whole thing. Like everything, all of the
dream.
Yeah, all of the dream, all of the different characters, and how the dad's the rat, and then the monarch and everything, and Triana being the princess from Dune. It's just incredible.
Sky Dragon we don't ever get to see.
Well, you see him land.
Yeah, that's true.
Which brings
I'm
us...
so sad of... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that brings us kind of naturally into the Order of the Triad for this episode, who...
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot to do. They just basically want to get from A to B with poor Nyeb Nyeb, who just...
Yes.
I hope he knows where we're going. I hope he didn't understand anything I said.
Oh, I love it.
Like... I understand why they got rid of him. I'm sure if it wasn't just for a clearance issue, it might have been a cost issue, or who knows. But I would have loved to see the Alchemist have to stick around with Nyeb Nyeb even more. Because he just hates him. Like, just hates that he exists. And it's not like a malicious hate. It's more like a, I'm embarrassed by my fuck up and I just want to kill him hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't he like an abomination or something? Shouldn't we, like, just kill him? Unless he was made from dead people.
Yeah.
I love that they just let him fly. Like, he seems to know what he's doing, and he totally doesn't. He fucks that plane up and dies for it.
Well, I don't know. He
gets him there.
He got them there. He flew totally fine, and he got them to where they needed to be. You know.
Yeah. Then,
how else do you land at a cocoon, huh?
I mean, I guess that's a fair point. But everyone else was fine, and he launched through the windshield.
Everybody else put their seatbelts on. That's why.
I guess, yeah.
That's why.
Are you saying there's no seatbelts in the Millennium Falcon?
God, no. He didn't fly the Millennium Falcon, did he? He flew an X-Wing, didn't he?
Nah, isn't he the pilot, the co-pilot in Return of the Jedi? Aren't it?
Maybe.
Am I not thinking of the right person?
I thought he was like a generic like X-Wing fighter that gets blown down like Porky or whatever.
Well, I could be wrong, but I am pretty sure the guy who sits next to Lando in Return of the Jedi.
I trust you more than I trust me.
So I could be wrong about the name, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
I trust you a lot more than I trust me when it comes to Star Wars stuff.
You didn't remember the name.
Considering you are wearing your hat right now is a Star Wars hat.
It is a Star Wars hat. And you forgot the name of Return of the Jedi like 2 episodes ago. So you're not exactly the best source for Star Wars knowledge.
No, I'm a pretty unreliable narrator when it comes to Star Wars.
And there was a shit ton of Star Wars references in this episode, right?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. What happened?
Brian froze for a second, but we're all good now. We're all good.
My computer didn't die again?
No.
That would have been quite upsetting.
Yes.
But anyway, did you see the Star Wars episode? Do you catch the Star Wars references even? Are you just that out of Star Wars?
I catch some of them. I definitely caught more of the music references this episode than any of the Star Wars ones. Because like some of them are like when I'm looking it up afterwards with like the 1 in a million thing, I'm like, oh, I did not realize that was a Star Wars reference. But some of the more obvious ones, yeah.
What about like Iggy Pop coming out of the top of the Phantom Limb ship?
Is that supposed to be a reference to like
when Lando?
Actually, I have no idea.
It's like shot for shot of Lando coming out of the top of the Millennium Falcon at the end of Empire to catch Luke.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Nope, did not catch that.
I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Let's move it a little bit around. Let's talk Russian Guyovich.
Oh yeah.
I am how you say Russian Guyovich.
He's on a
Russian exchange.
yeah, he's a Russian exchange henchman.
Picked a hell of a time to come over.
I love the idea that Hank lied well enough for Brok to not catch him, even though Brok is very distracted. I
Yes.
still imagine he's the best spy out there, but somehow I give Hank the edge this time.
Yeah, I think it's the confidence thing again,
Yeah,
right?
He was just his lie was just strange enough, and he was just
true.
bold enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a slight tangent, but there's a story about the real life The Informant, the Matt Damon movie.
Oh yeah,
where he would bring in like millions of dollars in briefcases and stuff, which is illegal. Like, you're not supposed to bring that much cash, across like borders.
Right.
And he would. And during some journalist asked him about it, and they were like, "Weren't you worried at all?" And he goes, "No, I was wearing a suit." And that was like his only answer. You're like, yeah, I guess it's just confidence. That's like all it is. Confidence in a suit will get you 90% of the way there.
yeah, I would totally agree with that. And
Or just
Hank
ignorance.
had confidence, and
I think just ignorance or naivete, to use a better word, I guess, but just being a big dummy.
I also like that Hank's suit was the original henchman suit from the pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun
That's
little
all that-
throwback. That's the
all
only
that
reason
left
you
over.
ever need to watch the pilot.
It's true.
I
Yeah.
like that he's still wearing the facial hair from that head doll from 21's room.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I mean, of course he would be, though. It's part of the disguise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what makes him Russian.
Yeah, it just flies off when he gets thrown out of the cocoon and immediately sucks at his job because he's Hank.
Yep.
But he doesn't die. I mean, he does have Brok on him at all times, but he still could have died. Everyone else died.
For sure.
I think my favorite moment in that
Most
entire
everyone.
battle with Brok, I'm just skipping over Russian Guyovich for a second. It has to be when they're flying and he catches the guy who's dying, who's like, "Serving on you has been the best moment of my life," and he just chucks him into the engine of a helicopter.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
You're like, oh, wow, how cold of Brok. But then you're like, you know what? He would probably really have wanted that. That henchman would probably have thought of no better way to die than being thrown into a helicopter engine by his hero, Brok Samson.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think that guy would have been upset about the way he was disposed of at all.
Yeah.
I don't even think other henchmen would be like, "Aw, did you see not Speedy? That lucky guy." I can't think of another henchman name, so I'm just sticking with Speedy.
Yeah.
Speedy is the penultimate henchman.
Yes. Who haven't we talked about? Like there's I think that's kind of like why I said I have a problem with this episode. There's a lot to talk about and also very little because it is just mostly a big action sequence.
Yeah. I mean, I'd kind of like to talk about Phantom Limb because I think
Okay.
his storyline is really the only one with any meat to it.
Yep.
In a weird sort of way.
Yeah.
So here's one of my weirder problems with the episode is that it's all a big ruse to take down the Sovereign so that he can kind of take over. We don't really know what powers the Sovereign has other than, well, you find out later in this episode, but what's been alluded to as like shape-shifting powers. Mm-hmm. That's about it, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I think so. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
other
guessing-
than just like, just knowing everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Like having a great network.
Yeah.
I could guess that he's also super strong because Phantom Limb's powers don't really seem to do much other than make the Sovereign change shape. That's about it. And so for me, I'm kind of like, what was his plan? He sends Iggy Pop in, who's lower on the power sort of totem pole, who supposedly kills the Sovereign. I guess the thing is that nobody knows much about the Sovereign. I find it a very confusing plan. Is pretty much what I'm trying to say.
Phantom Limb's plan.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I think. I mean, another reason why I think this episode bothers me is that very thing, because it isn't a very well constructed plan. So it felt more like, well, we're just gonna say he's taken over, but we know he's not gonna do it, so we don't really care.
Right.
And I not to say that they don't care, but that's kind of like the idea that I got from it was just like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually didn't even catch that it was a subplot until, like, many times watching this episode over again.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wait, no, he's not actually just going after Dr. Girlfriend. He's just using that as a ruse to do this thing.
Yeah.
You're like, oh. Huh.
Yeah, because
exactly.
Yeah.
Just doesn't...
Because it's, like, what's weird, and then, obviously, we get into this more in Season 3 when we talking about this episode. And Phantom Limb. But I think we've talked about it before, to where he's, like, he's one of the more successful failures. And so he seems like he should be smart enough to know what he's doing and how to pull off a thing.
Right. Like, it feels like if you really start to spread out the steps, right? Like, if you start to break it down, the plan really just kind of feels weird. Like, and I think a big part of that is what we had talked about earlier, where it doesn't feel like there's been any sprinkling of foreshadowing building up to this. So even if the plan doesn't make a lot of sense, you go, well, I know what all the work went into this was, even though the plan is kind of weak, at least I can see kind of where it built towards. And in this, it kind of comes out of nowhere. I mean, Phantom Limb's identity up until now has been a foil for the Monarch, and that's been pretty much it. Mm-hmm. The whole season, they've been talking about how soft he is. So by the time we get here, without seeing any of the work, I feel like we still kind of feel like Phantom Limb is what is Dr. Girlfriend call him? Like, she calls him basically like a bookie, like in an earlier episode. Victor Echo November, I think, is when she calls him a bookie, because it's with the painting, right? And that's pretty much all he's doing, is he's kind of like making a profit off of doing white collar crime. He's not, he doesn't have his hands in this shit anymore.
Yeah.
So when we get to this point, we still have that image of him throughout the season of not being very effective at being an actual villain.
Yeah, which I guess then puts more weight or reason behind him sending in Iggy Pop to kill the Sovereign. But it's weird. Of like, why wouldn't you want, like, if he has his Phantom Limb crazy kill power, why wouldn't he at least attempt to kill him personally?
Right.
It's just weird. Like, it feels like, I mean, as we're talking about this episode, and we're talking about the rest of this season, how we're like, wow, everything is so well put together and so artfully done, and so, yada, 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 that in this episode, it really kind of feels like, oh, well, as they were writing it, they're just kind of putting the stuff in there of like, oh, well, what if the Phantom Limb actually wasn't trying to just get Dr. Girlfriend back? He was also trying to usurp the Sovereign and do some other crazy stuff.
Right.
And then have a twist at the end, which we're not really sure what it's going to be.
Right.
I don't know. This episode just feels differently than the rest of the season.
And I feel like this episode is where we actually see most of the growing pains for this whole season. This season starts off super strong with the montage and everything else kind of wrapping up loose ends, but in a really sort of fulfilling way. And then we get to this finale that feels... It's an enjoyable finale. I really, really enjoy it. I think that I'm probably higher on it than Bryan is, and I'm not sure, Graham. We haven't talked about it enough, I feel like. But I feel like we might... I think all of us enjoy it, is what I'm trying to say.
I definitely enjoy it. I just... I
just
remembered
not
it
the
a lot more
strongest.
fondly
Yeah,
before
exactly.
I rewatched it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it. Is I also remember it very fondly, and now that I'm kind of forced to talk about it and break it down, I'm kind of seeing that there's not a lot of meat on that bone.
Yeah. And even
it kind of comes out of nowhere.
And like I said earlier, even Doc Hammer and Jackson Public are not very hot in this episode. Even they felt like they kind of missed the mark just a little bit. And I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's not a bad episode. It's definitely not the worst finale, I don't think. I just think it's just kind of it just kind of misses a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what that exactly was. It could have been what we were just talking about with Phantom Limb. It could have been that they spent too much time on Dean's Magic World to really make this feel like a finale. Like, there's a lot of things. And especially at this time, Public and Hammer really weren't into the idea of making every episode, how they put it, like a soap opera. Like, they didn't want to get into that. They liked doing the loony one-offs. Those were fun for them. And they're having so much fun with those that when they get to the finales, they're kind of like, we feel obligated to give you a good story moment because it's a season finale, and that wasn't really what they were as interested in writing at this particular time.
Yeah.
And you even get that
sure.
with, like, current seasons. Like, season 7, they have all the story really, really heavy up front, and then just a whole bunch of ludicrous fun episodes after that.
Yeah. It's structured kind of like the X-Files. The X-Files, you have the Monster of the Week episodes, and then you have the story episodes. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Venture Brothers is a much better balance of it than the X-Files ever did.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it's in this episode where you kind of see it the most.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I don't think any of us think it's a bad episode. I know our note taker Brok really likes the episode. And I know most people do. I think it was just maybe it was my mood when I was watching it, or maybe just because we're getting more and more critical on these things, and I'm starting to notice the seams a little bit. I can still love it while going, this was kind of like the few points of contention I had with it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Is there anything we've missed, or should we move into the end of this thing and then do our top 5 of season 2?
I think the ending is the only thing I still kind of feel like we need to discuss.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was debating on whether or not we should even bring it up because it's mostly going to be what we talk about next week with season 3. But the ending is important. The cliffhanger that we had to wait. I forgot to look up how many years in between each season. The cliffhanger that never was, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you
2006 to 2008, so 2 years.
So not that bad. A Rick and Morty
bad.
wait, if you will. So yeah, the cliffhanger at the end of the season, I have to confess something to you, Monarch. If you read the book, listen to the commentaries and whatnot, they never intended to answer that question at this time. They didn't even finish the line in the script. It's just written as like an ellipses. Like, that's just how it ended. And I find that interesting. I think it's kind of a ballsy move.
Yeah, you could say that.
Here's a show-defining cliffhanger that we're not going to answer. And who knows, maybe we'll just never answer it.
Well, and to not even know what it is.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, obviously it's going to be this thing, and we'll tell it. I don't know what season we're going to reveal it, but we'll definitely reveal it.
Yeah.
And to not even have an idea of like, well, she could be pregnant, she could be this, she could be that. We'll figure it out.
I'll do it this afternoon.
Exactly.
I like it. I really enjoyed that ending because it did a great job. Like, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. Of like, holy shit, I can't wait for season 3.
Oh, certainly.
It's a little bit of a splash of cold water in the face when you get to season 3, and the answer is kind of there. We'll talk about it next week, but they don't really ever fully say what she asked. At least unless they fully blatantly say it way later in the seasons and I've just missed it. I mean, I know what the answer is, but I know it from kind of inferring and piecing things together.
Yeah.
which is
and
again, that's
I
fine.
mean, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week. But it's I like the ending. I think the very ending of it is it's very Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend, where they're just in an escape pod banging their brains out. Like, it's just very much them, and just all of it. I think it works. I think it might be beyond Dean's dream, my favorite part of the entire episode.
Yeah, I don't. It rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I understand what they were going for, but it kind of feels indicative of the problems that we've pointed out in this episode, which is not a lot of planning into it, not a lot of planning out of it. And I think that's okay. It's a very fun episode, but I think to include something that feels like it has a lot of weight and then not really deliver on it feels a little odd. But it's not the worst thing. It's just kind of, I just remember how I felt because I got into the show basically in between season 2 and season 3, and getting to that moment, I was like, wow. And then, like you said, it's a splash of cold water. When you get to season 3, you're kind of like, oh, well, I guess that's it. And they've never really done that since. I think mainly because they made this mistake. It's not that bad of a mistake, but it definitely felt like there was going to be more to it than what ended up happening.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why I like it as much as I do. Like, I just kind of have a twisted sense of humor about it. Of I love seeing failed experiments because I like the idea of trying something and failing more than just being safe. And I feel like they could have gone for a very safe ending, or they could just throw something out there in the ether and hope for the best. And I don't think it necessarily worked. But because they're willing just to take a swing, I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy just watching them take the attempt. Does that make sense?
100%.
I mean, it works. The scene works. It's funny.
Yes,
it's a funny ending.
The scene works. The idea of it doesn't fully connect, though.
Right. Yeah. But since it stretches over 2 years, and when we come back into season 3, it's kind of mentioned and not. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But obviously for us, as we're watching this back to back to back and reviewing it back to back to back, it's blatantly obvious, and it's like, what did you do? Why did you just not, like, you could have come up with something, anything. But
yeah. I mean, they did come up with something, anything. It just wasn't.
They did.
They did exactly that.
No,
and I will say,
at least answered it in a more succinct, direct way.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll get to it.
Yeah,
it's one of the first Monarch lines in season 3, which is next week. But
yeah, we'll start that episode right there, so we can get all this this tension out of our way when we record next week.
Because we're doing it.
Yeah,
we're doing it right now.
Yeah,
we're building up this huge cliffhanger that we won't talk about for.
But we'll do it right.
A week. Yeah, but it's just a week. You don't have to wait 2 years to get to this one.
Yeah, or if you're us right now, you have to wait 10 minutes, and then we'll start talking about it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Peeks behind the magical mirrors of podcasting.
I didn't know that mirrors and podcasts necessarily go well together.
What do you mean? Are you saying it's not a visual medium?
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. I've had the magical peek behind the magical echo chamber of podcasts. That would be the closest.
That's too many words, man.
That's true. It's a bit of a mouthful.
So what you're saying is I can put this mirror down.
Yeah, stop holding that mirror. Why do you think I said mirror? It was Graham's fault. Everything was Graham's fault. All right, let's move into pop culture references. Favorite pop culture reference. I'm gonna go first because mine's all of the Star Wars references. I don't know which one would be my favorite, but since we've already somewhat mentioned it, or Nick mentioned it, I'll have to go with the Hank shot and the nice shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Yeah.
It's like, that or Iggy Pop. Just Iggy Pop as a pop culture reference.
Yeah.
He's so fucking gross. I love Iggy Pop. He still wears those jeans in concert, by the way.
Of course he does.
70 years old and made of pure leather, still wearing those jeans.
It's true.
Nope.
Do you want to go next, Graham?
Sure. Yeah, it was just basically like all of Dean's realm and basically just the never-ending story and the princess from Dune and just everything in that was just wonderful. Yeah,
Nice.
that was basically it. Yeah.
Mine were I'm not a big music person, so a lot of the references they tend to make in this I'm always like, huh, okay. And it just like passes right over my head. But there was one today where Dr. Girlfriend's like, these two stooges, and Klaus Nomi, who I had to look up, I still don't know who he is like, I wasn't in the Stooges, but Iggy Pop, that was his first band, the Stooges. Yeah. So before he had his solo act, Iggy Pop, which I was like, what a weird joke. I was like, okay. And then I also just love that he says, I'm a street walking cheetah with a heart full of napalm. I had to look that up, and I guess that's in one of his songs.
Yes.
But I just love I wasn't in the Stooges. Like, that was it.
That got the loudest laugh out of Chewie throughout the entire episode as we're watching it. You and your Stooges. I wasn't in the Stooges.
Yeah. Just in the background.
Yeah.
His bow tie's back on.
Oh, God.
Plastic armor that you're wearing? It looks like the bow tie.
God, I love that. Let's do top 5.
Oh, okay.
I am ready.
Are we ready? So,
yeah.
As we will do at the end of every season, if not other things as well, but we'll always say our top 5 episodes of that season. I actually think when I was making mine, this was way more difficult than I thought it would be.
Yes.
I had to leave out episodes that I'm kind of upset that I had to leave out.
Oh, I feel so confident in my top 5.
Well, then why don't you go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, you got it.
Wait, are we doing 5 to 1 or 1 to 5?
You do whatever the fuck you want, Graham.
I'm going to start with my favorite. Or am I going to read all of mine off right now?
Yeah, just read them all off. Go.
Oh, okay. I am so excited. All right. Mine is Love. Wait a minute. The cat has in my water. Bites. That's my number 1.
What?
My number 2 is I know why. Wait, I forgot. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. I know why. Wait, I forgot my magic mother bag. The cage bird kills. Number 3 is Victor Echo. You want evil? You want the old stuff? Fine. Happy? Oh, fucking great. I think I killed him. November. That's my number 3. My number 4 is Powerless in the face of everybody knows. You're in hell because you're a fucking liar. Death. Number 5 is Escape to That Thing Is Like a Pumpkin. House of the Mummies Part 2.
Wow, really should have had you go last.
Damn.
My list is nowhere near as funny, but totally different.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm starting with number 5. My number 5 episode was Assassin Annie 911. Number 4 was Hate Floats. Number 3 was Escape to the House of Mummies Part 2. Number 2, 20 Years to Midnight. And number 1, I Know Why the Cage Bird Kills.
Interesting.
All right.
Very different list than Nick. We had a couple of
Yeah.
ones, but
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed that I didn't have Victor Echo November on there. That was the one I'm just like,
Yeah.
It has has some of the best lines of the entire season, but I don't think the story was quite there with the other ones.
That's fair.
That's my only thing with it, because it's actually one of my favorite in the entire thing, but it's just I just don't think it was. It's a tough season.
It's true.
It is. All right. So 5 to 1. Fallen Arches. Victor Echo November. Escape to the House of Mummies Part 2.
Hey, we tied there, both number 3.
20 Years to Midnight. And Powerless in the Face of Death is number 1.
Wow. I would not have expected that for number 1. What was your number 1 again, Nick?
My number 1 was Love. Wait a minute. The cat is in my water. Bites. It's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Which
it is
that
so
would
stupid.
That is not even in my top 8.
I love Baron Underbite. The more Baron Underbite, the better. The end of that episode where he's like, can I stay over? I got a divorce. Like, it's like, he is such a stupid villain. I'm obsessed with him. His
He's
life
amazing.
is so small.
Yeah, he's amazing, but I don't like that episode.
Oh, that episode is great.
I like
It's my
that.
favorite Brok moment where he interrogates the guy. I'm getting all of this out because I couldn't be on this episode, so I'm compensating for something. It's so good.
I'm surprised neither one of you had Assassin Annie. Like, I didn't think I was the only one who loved that one.
I really liked it. I think it would probably be in like 7 or 8, that range for me.
Sure.
That one just gets me every time with the kill Pop.
Yeah. that and when he's like
The Native Americans are back.
Yes, exactly.
TP on my pants.
Oh my god.
My pants are haunted. My pants are haunted. Yeah, no, that's definitely it. I made the right choice for me. That deserves to be in my top 5.
I was surprised because I think Graham and I both had Victor Echo November, but I agree with you. The story's not that great, but it does have some of the best lines.
Oh, easily some of the best lines in the entirety of Venture Brothers. But I think I just try to go on like which stories do I like the best. But I might actually rewatch that one more than anything. That'd probably be my number 6. It just didn't quite.
It's like someone with a fever is yelling at my pants.
Yeah. Isn't that the one with the naughty little whorehouse in Texas?
Yep.
Which is like my favorite Brok in Rusty moment is just like, you're going to be real disappointed.
Oh, I love that episode. Like I said, if I had a 6th spot, it'd be number 6. But
it's fair.
it's not quite
It's
there.
fair.
All right, so that's the end of season 2.
We did it.
Oh my word. I'm kind of sad to leave it behind a little bit, but I'm also excited for the future.
High definition.
Yeah, we're moving up to HD. And if you're a DVD owner, we're moving on to uncensored swear words and full-blown dick.
It's kind of weird that I'm happy about the full-blown dick, but I'm a little sad about the swear words. I think it's funnier when they're bleeped.
I think it all depends
Yeah.
on the joke. There's some, like, especially
Totally.
there's a Monarch rant that is better bleeped than not bleeped.
For sure.
But then there's a Dean line that is better heard than bleeped. So like there's a lot. I think we'll get into it, but I'm going
True.
full
Very
uncensored
true.
the whole season.
I think I am too.
I'm going to go back to the DVDs.
Yeah, I am.
Because if you're on Hulu, then you have the censored version, which is too bad.
Yep.
But yeah. So that's it for today and for season 2. Thank you everyone for listening so far. I've been enjoying the hell out of it, and I'm really excited for season 3.
Me, toi.
Indeed.
Okay, so thank you everybody for the slightly longer episode, but that's what happens when we finish the season. And quick round of plugs before we get out of here. Listen to After the Hype, athpod.com for articles, and be sure to check out Samwise, the Advice Podcast. That's it for all of us. Nick, Graham, anything to plug?
Nope.
I mean, same old. Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Bye!
Bye.
Toodles.